Let's go ahead and do the eyes a little bit. So I'm going to bother you to look at me, if you would, a little bit, Jim, here, right there. Now, first thing I see is the white of the eye. Okay. I'll tell you to look up again. White of the eye is in shadow. Very important. The white of the eye sits about in that value. Okay, the other white of the eye sits in that value and actually catches a little gleam of light, which is really nice. I didn't see that earlier. So we're going to start to place the little bit of the whites of the eyes in there. Now they're in shadow, so they're actually darker than the flesh tone. Okay, you can hold it for a second. You don't need to look back right now. I generally like to paint faces where the face isn't looking right at you and where the eyes kind of glance over their shoulder at you. I tend to gravitate towards that kind of painting, that kind of imagery. Take my little chisel here, and I'm going to start to add some of the darks in the eyes. Now, Jim's got a very pale eye. It's not a dark, piercing brown, deep eye. It's a light eye, and so it's not going to be real dark back in there. So what I want to do is make sure the eyelashes and the iris stand out, and I have a nice dark tone for it to stand out in. So I'm mixing up here kind of a muted, dark, warm color. And with that, I'm going to get you to look at me again, and I'm going to try and hit what I call the lash line. And that's this line up here. And it comes up, and it's over, and down. And here it's over, and on the side right in there. And I'm going to take a little alizarin, because as it goes into the corner of the eye, it tends to warm up. Now that's warmer than I want. Okay, you can look the other way for a second. So we're starting to get that to look okay in there. I'm relatively pleased with the way it's working. I'm going to, as I put the dark of that eye in, I see that I can push a little bit on that eyebrow more. The darkness of the eyebrow, I can actually make it a little bit darker. Couldn't tell because I didn't have anything to measure it against. Now that I've got a nice dark in there, I can see that I can use it and make it a little darker. Same with the crease around the eyelid. Okay, let's go back and do this, work on those eyes some more. I'm going to pick up my little round here. If you want to look back at me for a second, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to find the iris, which is the center of the eye, and he's glancing back at us right here. And then suddenly we've got to focus on that eye, and we've got to focus on that eye. He's looking back at us now. Now, I'm going to take and get a nice tip on that brush. And we're going to hit around the rim. This is more of a drawing stroke. I don't want to draw a line. I just want to indicate the beginning of around the rim of that iris. It gets a little darker. Okay? Down there. Now, his eyes are kind of blue. I'm not going to paint them blue, but I'm going to lean that value back towards a blue color. So hopefully I'm close to that value. The value is a good color. I'm a little dark. This is where color matching is actually, value matching I should say, is actually important. I'm painting into wet paint, so I've got to keep this paint very wet. There, that's better. Took me about 3 or 4 times to get it right, but it was worth it. Okay. Now, I see this wonderful gleam that's happening in the other eye. There's 2 lights hitting this model, so we're getting a little bit of a gleam in this foreground eye, but it's not as bright as the one in the background eye. So we get a little gleam right there, and I see a little bit of a gleam in the corner. But what happens is that back eye, that light comes in, the same light that interrupts and really illuminates the corner of the face, comes in and hits the white of the eye right about in there, and it really kind of zings that eye. Okay, we hit that part, and then we'll hit a little bit more of the firmness of the underplane here, because I think that's important. And wrap it around. All right, now, you don't have to look at me. I'm going to go in and work a little bit on the nose, because I said earlier I didn't want to finish it off, but I do want to go in now and begin to. I use a alizarin, very, very warm. Big mistake people make when they paint any sort of hole in the human body, be it in the ear or anything, is they paint way too black. Now, if you noticed, I had a place to put that nostril. So it wasn't a problem. It was just a matter of getting the right value and the right stroke in there.